Shadow Court, ladies and gentlemen. Judge Spectre here with my second part of my Metal Gear Solid 4 follow-up. In the first part, I looked at the absurdly ridiculous Liquid Ocelot plot twist. And now I'm here looking at another aspect of the game which kind of disappointed me, Meryl's character. But to be completely fair, my problem isn't so much with Metal Gear Solid 4 as it is with her character in Metal Gear Solid 2, or rather the lack thereof. Let me take you back to the ending of the original Metal Gear Solid. I'm going to show it to you, although the video I was planning on using didn't work. So what I've decided to do is use video from the 2004 remake Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes on the GameCube. The game ends the same way, the graphics are just better, so I'm going to show it to you right now. Take a look at this.
Huh? Until today, I've lived only for myself. My survival instinct that tells me not to die. That's all the motive I've had in my life.
That's not just you. That's how everyone is.
I only felt truly alive when I was staring death in the face. I don't know. Maybe it's written into my genes.
What about now? What do your genes say about your future now?
Maybe it's time I live for someone else.
Someone else?
Yeah. Someone like you. Maybe that's the real way to live.
So, where to, Snake?
David. My name is David.
Okay, so where to, Dave?
I think it's time we look for a new path in life.
A new path?
A new purpose.
Will we find it?
We'll find it. I know we'll find it.
Hey, what are those?
Caribou. To the Aleutians, the caribou is a symbol of life. It'll be spring here soon.
For us, too.
Yeah. Spring brings new life to everything. It's a time for hope. I've lived here a long time, but Alaska has never looked more beautiful. The sky, the sea, the caribou, and most of all, you.
It's nice, isn't it? Being alive.
Come on, let's enjoy life.
The first portion of Metal Gear Solid 2 takes place 2 years after the close of this. Meryl makes no appearance in the game and no mention of her character is made, leading many people to wonder just what happened. When confronted with this in an interview, series creator Hideo Kojima stated that Meryl did not appear in the game because he wanted to show Snake and Otacon's friendship. Now, at first I was pretty much okay with that, but after looking back on it, I have to say they really didn't develop the friendship that much, apart from one cutscene towards the end of the game, and maybe one or two codec calls at most. So basically, I didn't really see anything they could not have done if Meryl's character had been in the game. It seemed like one of two things. Either Kojima did not want to write another character into an already overly convoluted storyline, or he didn't want to burden his main hero down with a love interest, which would make you wonder why he established one in the first place. I mean, the love plot in the first game was not something that was optional, as in most games today. It was mandatory. It was a part of the story. You couldn't avoid it. So it kind of made me wonder why he omitted her character. I mean, this was probably the most important character to Snake in the last game, and she had a big part to play in his transformation from being a cold, cynical mercenary to being someone who might actually be capable of caring about the world around him rather than just himself. Now, obviously, she was not the only factor involved. There were many other things as well, but she had a very large part in it, and it just seems strange to me to chop her off like that without, any real reason behind it that I could see. Now, my problems with her character as it relates to Metal Gear Solid 4, first and foremost, is when they're reunited again, they obviously haven't seen each other for years, so you would think there would be an explanation that would be given to the player as to why they split up inexplicably. But all that's ever really said on the subject is that Snake suddenly disappeared. Now, I dare not claim more knowledge of Solid Snake than Kojima himself, since he is the person who in fact created Snake, but based on what Snake went through in the first game, this seems like it's kind of unlikely that he would have just decided to disappear all of a sudden. And even if he would have done such a thing, it seems even more unlikely that Meryl would not have followed him or made some attempt to find him. Based on what they've laid out, I don't see anything in the personalities of these two characters that would lead me to believe that this is how they would have reacted. And apart from the lack of explanation, another problem is her character just really didn't seem to have that much to do in this game. I mean, she tries to help Snake take Liquid down in the Middle East and ends up spasming like an idiot. She tries to take Liquid down in Eastern Europe and ends up spasming like an idiot. She tries to help Snake storm the Outer Haven fortress and ends up dangling from a puppet string like an idiot. Although she does help Snake buy time for his final mission or whatever, but apart from that, she really just didn't have that much to do in this game, and she seemed like she had to be bailed out of trouble a bit too much. Now, apart from those two problems, the main thing that really kind of irritated me was they basically threw Meryl into a remote romance plot with Johnny. Now, for those of you who don't know, Johnny is the goofball of the Metal Gear Solid series. The guy that's a cheap comic relief that they throw in there to get a cheap laugh, the guy who's constantly plagued by diarrhea. He had a very small part in the first game and an even smaller part in the second game. Now, I saw before the game released that he was going from being a bit character to actually being one of the side characters. And when I saw this, I thought I had it figured out. I thought that they would introduce him to us as we knew him, the goofball, which they ended up doing, but I figured by the end of the game he would have cast this role aside and become a more serious character, which he did. I'm not lying, I actually guessed this part, and I got it mostly right, but I could not ever have expected that they would have done what they did, and that was basically throw Meryl into a romance plot with the guy. They basically really didn't do much to set this up. They had like one scene before this, and that was pretty much it. I mean, he bails her out of trouble once, and then inexplicably she basically just falls head over heels in love with him for no apparent reason. He asks her to marry him, and she turns him down. Then she asks him to marry her, and then they continue their gun battle against Liquid's forces, looking like it was pulled right out of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. At the end, they actually get married while Snake goes to a graveyard to blow his brains out. And I have to say I sympathize with him a bit here, because after watching the marriage cutscene, I felt a tad suicidal myself. But to be fair, as I said, my problems were more with the second game as opposed to this one, because they basically couldn't really have done much between Snake and Meryl given how they left her out of the second game. Now, it would have opened the door for some interesting possibilities if she had been in the second game and entered this game under different circumstances. It would have been interesting to see her try to repair the damaged relationship between her and her father, while at the same time dealing with the added emotional weight of knowing that Snake is dying. It would have been a different take on the love plot of the first game, and at the same time added sort of like a tragic element to it, knowing that these characters are together, but it's not going to last because Snake is going to die. It would have been interesting, and it would have been a way to take some of the sugar out of an unnecessarily sweet ending. But as it is, things played out this way, and like I said, I can't get too mad at it, but once again, it basically just oozes missed opportunities, and that's my main problem with her character. Overall, it's just missed opportunities. There was a lot they could have did, but they made a mistake in two, in my opinion, and they paid the price for it in 4. Or rather, I should say, we paid the price for it in 4. Now, this isn't the end of my Metal Gear Solid series. I'm doing one more follow-up video based on Raiden's character and the very few problems I had with him in this game. So, if you dig this, then check that one out too. And first out, before I go, I want to give a special shout out to Doc Giro for his continuing support of me in this series, encouraging me to do this at a time when I was actually starting to lose my determination. So, thank you for that, and Also, thank you for rebuilding me after that little accident. Okay, bye. Why does that guy keep interrupting me for? He's always in my videos. Doesn't he have anything better to do? Jesus.